Welcome back. All right, so news of the day video for all you fine people on your Thursday, June 16th. These are the topics for today. Go ahead, pause, write them down, all that. And of course, there's the chapters at the bottom of the video. That's what I write down the timestamps for with my little notebook here. So some relatively big news, expected news, but it's one of those situations where two teams have a situation and so they get together and one situation fixes the other situation. So Evgeny Dadonov traded at the deadline to Anaheim and then whoops, he's untraded from Anaheim. Now he's been traded to Montreal. I haven't heard anything about an untrade, although the Anaheim Ducks, with the greatest tweet ever, tweeted, "You sure?" to the response as a response to the trade announcement by the Vegas Golden Knights, who have acquired the contract of Shea Weber. Shea Weber will go on LTIR. He is not going to play again. And on the other side, for the Montreal Canadiens, they get a goal scorer in Dadonov. It's a good pickup. Dadonov honestly did yeoman's work with the Vegas Golden Knights after the untrade took place. Just that debacle. He handled it with so much grace that I'm wearing a Montreal jersey because I say they won the trade. And I wish the best for Dadonov. Hopefully he picks up with Montreal where he left off with Vegas and gets himself a 25 or 30 goal season. That would be kind of nice. That being said, for Vegas, they'll throw Weber onto LTIR, and it does free up some money for them to go out and get other players, or at the very least keep the rest of their roster together, or as many of the rest of the roster as they can. There will be other changes during the summer, but Bruce Cassidy, the new coach, is excited about what's going to go on in Vegas, and everything seems to be a good feeling right now. I will agree with Cassidy, too. While we all focus on the Strip and how not necessarily family-friendly parts of the Strip are, not all of it, some of the Strip is very family-friendly, but the surrounding area around Vegas is actually very nice residential areas. You can, have your family, it's nice. The one thing is that for about 6 months of the year, it feels like you're living on the surface of the sun. That's the drawback, is that it does feel like you're on the surface of the sun. So us going there in August for a holiday, not gonna be much going outside. That's where you find out ways to connect from one casino to the next without actually going outside. And there are ways to do that in Vegas. And yeah, because when it's 40 degrees Celsius outside, I find ways around that. I'm like, that's a no. So all the best though to Dadonov in Montreal. And again, it's Weber's contract, so Weber's not likely to suit up for a single game for the Vegas Golden Knights unless something dramatically changes with his injury situation, which is unlikely. Next on the board is Chris Drury. So the general manager signs Kravtsov, and there were immediately discussions of whether or not he might be signing Kravtsov in order to move Kravtsov. You sign him and then you can trade him for more. Doesn't sound like that's the case. He's saying he's an all-world talent. He's excited to get Kravtsov back into the lineup. And so, again, for people who want to connect the dots and say this might mean that Kakko's on his way out, it could. But Kravtsov being back, they're saying all the right things. So it does not look like Vitaly Kravtsov is going to be leaving the New York Rangers. So all this discussion about whether or not he might be included in deals with various teams that I've seen, that apparently is not the case. Because, again, Drury's really talking him up. Now, it is possible you talk up a player in order to, drum up interest from other general managers. That is possible. But I think here it just feels like that's probably not I'm saying probably not what's going on. Because you just never know with the National Hockey League these days. Next on the board is the NHL itself. So the salary cap is $82.5 million as the ceiling. The lower end of the cap is $61 million. So teams will have to spend $61 million to get to the cap floor. $82.5 million is the cap ceiling, which means the mid-mark is around $71 million. So for the NHL, this is, the salary cap going up, not by a lot, but it is going up. The minimum wage in the NHL goes up. I think it's next season that it goes up by 25 grand, and then it goes up again shortly thereafter. So yeah, the NHL will see what happens with that extra $1 million and which teams that bails out and which ones that's not enough to bail out. Vegas does come to mind, and Montreal on some level as well. Montreal had their cap problems this past year too, but they also had Weber and Price on LTIR, so it wasn't something that hit them that hard. Now, the season itself is supposed to start on October 11th. I also saw recently, I think it was Pierre LeBrun that tweeted out that the NHL wants free agency next year to be back on July 1st. for that to happen. That means that the draft would be probably June 24th, 25th, somewhere in there, right? And so you'd have to have the Stanley Cup awarded no later than the 19th or 20th of June. So we'll be back to a more normal schedule next year. 82 games, and again, starting October 11th, that's 4 days sooner, and you won't have that 3-week mess that was the not Olympic break, right? And the plan is still in 2024, February of 2024, to have a World Cup. So Gary Bettman, very optimistic that it'll take place. Of course, we've debated the whole World Cup and whether or not it's going to happen, but yeah, it does appear that we're going to see a World Cup in 2024, and that would mean shutting down the league probably for 10 days in order to accommodate that. So at least next year we get a somewhat normal season before we get back into squash schedules and games that way, unless they take out the All-Star break, which is possible. But again, yeah, 2024 World Cup. Let me know if you guys are excited about it or kind of meh, because it's just it when it and for me, I'm kind of meh on it. The last World Cup was, I mean, there were some entertaining moments and whatnot, but it was a largely forgettable tournament overall, I thought, anyways. You guys can let me know if I'm wrong on that one as well. But yeah, so next up, John Tortorella. Kevin Weeks reporting that's a done deal, and then others came out after. It looks like it's a 4-year contract for Tortorella at roughly $4 million per. Bruce Cassidy, apparently it's a $5 million a year contract, 5 years for him with Vegas. So yeah, coach is getting paid relatively well here. Tortorella has earned that kind of money with the resume that he's able to put out there. And so the era of John Tortorella being in Philly begins. And once again, he's in the same division as the New York Rangers. That leads to all kinds of fun for him when he has to go to New York and deal with his old buddy. But hey, for Tortorella, all the best to him. All the best to the Flyers as well. They spent a long time figuring this out. And we'll see whether or not Tortorella is the solution to their issues. If they can make it back into the playoffs next year, that's a start. If they're actually a contender, that would help them tremendously. It's not that long since Philly was a pretty good team, and it just sort of fell apart on them, so they just have to figure out what went wrong and fix that. Which, depending on which Philly fans you ask, they might say, yeah, no, I have faith in these guys, or not so much. But again, Tortorella is going to be the coach. Now, if you're not into National Hockey League hockey and you want to watch hockey over the next couple of weeks, you're in luck. First off, we've got the Memorial Cup. The Memorial Cup will be featuring Edmonton, Hamilton, St. John, and Shawinigan, who all won their, well, St. John's the host, Edmonton, Hamilton, Shawinigan winning their respective leagues. And so that tournament starts on June 20th. It runs till June 29th. In general, again, at this time of year, I don't cover the Memorial Cup a lot. I may cover the final game. I may get into that and all of that. So that would be on June 29th. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. But it's good hockey. It's entertaining, and it was kind of fun to see Hamilton's celebration for their victory yesterday, which sadly led me to their website, which showed me that they did a throwback jersey to the Hamilton Bulldogs jersey from back in like the 1910s or 1920s, and I missed it. It's all sold out. So I was like, oh, because that would have been perfect, right? I mean, it's not an NHL jersey, but kind of is. And then when I do historical videos this summer, that would have fit right in for some of the stuff I could have talked about, but you snooze, you lose, and I didn't even know the thing existed, and then it was gone, and I was sad over something I didn't get. So all the best to each team that's in the tournament, and we'll see how things turn out. Sometimes the host team wins, sometimes they don't. And so, yeah, it should be a fun Memorial Cup either way. Now, if you're like, well, I'd like to see the pros, well, you've got the Calder Cup finals as well. Springfield against Chicago. Springfield, hard-fought series to get there. They beat Laval in 7. The Chicago Wolves beat Stockton in 6. The Chicago Wolves have been very impressive along the way. And so this playoff starts June 19th. The latest that it can go is also June 29th. That would be the day for Game 7. So again, if you're like, well, I don't know if I want to watch the Stanley Cup final, it's teams I don't care about, then you got the Memorial Cup, you've got the Calder Cup as well. Both of them are pretty excellent tournaments in their own right. Championship matchups. I mean, the Memorial Cup's more of a tournament, and for the Calder Cup, we really, it's a final, so it's the two teams. But they're both fun, again, in their own way, and yeah. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.